Good evening and welcome to the Facilities Usage and Planning Subcommittee meeting. Today's Tuesday, August 6th. The time is 6:40 p.m. and we are at the Romm Little Theater at Brockton High School. I do apologize, we are starting 10 minutes late. We were having some technical difficulties. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Ms. Sullivan? Here. Mr. Gomes?
Here.
Mr. Vega?
Here.
Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mayor?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
And the superintendent is present, and Joyce Azak, chairing. I'm present as well, so we do have a full quorum. Please join me on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Members received a folder, and in the folder we have a copy of the facilities rental application. We have the actual application itself, the facilities rental packet, and then with the rental packet we have the application, we have the fees. So what happened is, we've been talking about this for a while, so our application and the fees haven't been updated in quite some time. So we spoke with Mr. Pina, Vice Chair Rodriguez, the superintendent, and myself and Mr. Thompson met, and we went over the packet with her, and we looked at some of her recommendations. We've been talking about this for a while, and we've been dealing with other things, so now it's time to do some housekeeping. And actually, Mr. Ken Thompson was also present during the meeting. So she prepared this. I do apologize. It's my fault. We didn't get this out to you sooner. I'm a stickler. I'm one of the ones that's always saying, don't hand me something at a meeting, and here I am handing you this at the meeting. So we are not voting on anything tonight. All I ask is please take a look at this. Any questions that you have, either reach out to me or reach out to Mr. Pina, just so we can get this wrapped up, cleaned up. And we do need to get this moving along before the school year starts. So we will have to have another meeting. It'll be a quick meeting if we don't have many changes. She does have some of her recommendations. Mr. Thompson's gonna actually go over this with us, but she did go over some of our fees. I mean, some of our fees, if you look at what we charge for our fees, I mean, if you look at some of the schools, you're heating the school, you're using the electricity, we're using the water, and the custodians. I mean, if you look at what we're spending, sometimes the rentals it's costing us. And I know we try to provide the schools so our community can have access, but we also have to take into consideration where we are, financially. We have to look at what we need to do, what's best for our school. So they're not huge price increases. I think they're pretty reasonable given we are pretty competitive. So please take a look at this. Mr. Thompson's going to go over this with us. Mayor, yes.
Thank you, Chair. This afternoon, Dr. Tahiliani, the Vice Chair, myself, and Attorney Bresnahan received an email around 3:11 p.m. from City Solicitor Megan Bridges. She concurs with the continuance of this matter. The attorney for the city drafted a memo that's going to help us when we continue to vet this out. But Attorney Bridges did think that we need to have further discussion and some legalese revisions relative to this agreement. So just wanted that to be stated on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Megan, Attorney Bridges, again, these haven't been updated in a very, very long time. I want to say over 20 years, maybe much longer than that. So we're in a different, things are different in 2024. We have to look at protecting ourselves legally. So again, if we can get that from Attorney Bridges before the end of the meeting, we will schedule another meeting because we do need to get this approved. Once we, go over some changes, if anyone has any recommendations, we can do that now tonight. Or we can have another quick meeting before the school year starts. But if I can call Mr. Ken Thompson. Ken, your official title, Director of Facilities?
Yes.
Director of Facilities. He's my go-to for those that don't know it. And thank you so much for all your help last Friday, and Mike Clark and all the custodians. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much. But Ken, you have the floor.
Right.
So, and to your point, Mayor, I had sent this over to Solicitor Bridges a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago, and she
Yes,
was
you
going to
did.
make
Thank
some
you.
comments, so that
Thank
was
you very
great,
much.
because we look forward to it. So what's in here is a draft package, as Ms. Azak explained. We're not locked into the numbers. They're flexible, and, you know, they're up for debate and discussion. What we had talked about was maybe doing two categories, one for Brockton groups, Brockton residents, and a second one for outside groups, with the Brockton residents getting a better rate. Because as Ms. Azak said, the intent was originally to service the community, so that's why these rates haven't changed in a long time, and we haven't looked at it as a profit-making thing. But what we're talking about now is maybe increasing the cost, so maybe we could accumulate some money based on these rentals and use it for repairs, for upgrades, for different things that, you know, takes it away from our budget to be able to do that. So this is, you know, we're open for suggestions. This is a draft, and we look forward to your input.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could.
Sure.
Similar to the DW golf course, where there's a Brockton rate for Brocktonians and visitors rate, I think that's a brilliant idea. And then, you know, Trish working with Mr. Clarkson on the city side, maybe a dedicated account could be set up so that the money could go there and it could just build upon for repair and
Right,
maintenance. So,
that'd be great.
thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Actually, I think we were looking into that to see if there is an account, because this money is coming in for facility rental, and it should go towards, you know, things that you need for the facilities, whether it's repair or machinery or things like that. But we are looking into that. And then, I know you all have your packets, but Ms. DePina she had the estimated fees moving up in what we currently charge. And the one where we currently charge, she has the two red lines crossed off on that. So these are our current fees, and then you look at going up. It's not a huge amount of money, but again, it'll actually cover some of our expenses.
And we do, just as a point, we do an awful lot of rentals, so there is a potential there to accumulate some dollars in an account, because again, a lot of outside being, a lot of inside, there is an awful lot of rentals during the course of the year.
One quick question, and then Ms. Oliver. So a lot of people don't realize, I came in here once, I think it was on a Sunday. I think we came in, there was testing going on, I think for the police. We had testing, and I didn't realize our cafeterias. I mean, you have programs that are renting our cafeterias on a regular basis. A lot of people are utilizing. It's great to have it for our community, to have a place for them to go. So there is a need for our facility rental.
Right,
We do
'cause, I
have a
mean,
need for
all our
it.
gymnasiums are used weekends, nights, our auditorium, and it's classrooms. You know, outside groups have events, they have meetings, so there's a lot of rentals that go on.
And a lot of them don't realize we have dance recitals. You know, in the year that we had to close down because we were redoing our theater, we lost a lot of money, because I know we had probably about 3 or 4 schools and I know I had to go because I go there for my nieces, and we had to go to surrounding towns. So that was a lot of money that we lost. And those are like tens of thousands of dollars per recital. So it's not small money. It's a lot of money that generates, and it can help us.
And one of the pluses we have being an older school, and it's one of the few pluses, is the auditorium. The new schools, they don't have auditoriums like we do, so these bigger groups, we've got an auditorium that's 1,600 people. You don't have that anywhere else. So that draws a lot to the city as well.
Thank you. Ms. Oliver, then Mr. Vega.
Good evening, Mr. Thompson.
evening.
I'm glad I can be able to put your name to a face. Thank you for the past few times I've texted you some issues that the school, and you took care of it. Thank you for answering my
My
text
pleasure.
right away. And the only thing is, do we already have an account, knowing that we already renting established to make
We
sure
do
all this
have a
money's going
facilities
there?
rental account, I believe, or facilities rental account. Yes, we do.
Okay, just make sure we're like not starting a new one if we already have an account.
we have one.
And how have you been able to use the funds in that account, like as of now, to like, you know, make some minor repairs that we might need throughout the schools?
I'd defer to Trish. I have never had a direct request for that account, but Trish, you might know better as far as how it's been used.
So since I've been here, we've not used any of those funds either. But typically, it's to replace stage curtains, you know, things that are that whatever we use to whichever group rents the building for whatever purpose, that's where we would use the funds towards. So if it's recitals and things where we use the auditorium a lot, we would use it for stage curtains, just anything to do with the auditorium. If we're
Seat repairs, things like that.
seat repairs, yes, I'm thinking of the school kitchens, for instance. So if we rented out that, we would use that for new kitchen equipment, things to that effect.
Perfect. Is there a way we can have like, kind of like a spreadsheet or some type of like records, what has been taken out, put in for the past year or few years, just to know exactly it's being used, you know, accordingly, and also just for facility, basically, for Mr. Thompson and that department to be taking care of our schools when it's needed?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So if I can chime in, I spoke with Ms. Boyer, and we are working on getting that, so we can, and we should get regular updates. When we get our finance updates, that should be one of our updates, because it's really not a moneymaker, but it really shouldn't be costing us money. We should be able to cover our expenses and be able to have the funds for repairs and stuff. So again, we're putting a lot of wear and tear on our schools, but if we're doing these rentals, we should have that extra fund. So I know Ms. Boyer's, again, Ms. Boyer just came on, like we all know, and we're working on that to separate that and separate it and make sure that moving forward, the chair or the vice chair in the committee will get updates, probably quarterly updates on what's in that facilities rental to see. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, Ken, I was just wondering, do you rent out the ice skating rink on the pool?
The ice skating rink belongs to the state.
The pool?
The pool, we really don't have any rentals in the pool, no.
Just wondering. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vega?
First of all, I just want to say I only got the opportunity to talk face-to-face with Mr. Thompson recently, and everything that folks have told me about him is true. But most importantly, what I want to point out is I got to meet him at the backpack event this weekend, and he was with a member of his staff, and they were approached by a teacher about the fields. And what's important is that Mr. Thompson modeled the kind of behavior that I would imagine he expects from his team. His answer was, I don't know how, but let's think about it. We can figure it out. I'll be in contact with you. You'll be in contact with me. And that teacher left feeling supported. So I can't stress enough. Everything that people are saying about you, Mr. Thompson, seems to be true. With that said, do we advertise our rental? And when I say advertise, I mean, are we intentional in making it known that we have rental space available?
I'm not aware of it. Actually, I know the mayor has a question. Mr. Rodriguez, would you know anything about the advertising? I'm not aware of the advertising. I think it's just
We don't
it's word of
advertise,
mouth.
but it's more of, community groups within the city. So we have continuous usage of our facilities, the youth sports, different programs like that. So
The reason why I bring it up is because I'm coming from much smaller educational institutions, and at every one that I've been at, whether it's a charter, whether it's an independent school, rentals have made up to 7% of the budget. So as we talk about the need to be fiscally creative, I think a more aggressive stance on spaces like the theater, like the auditorium here at BHS, like Mr. Thompson said, there aren't many places that have anything even remotely close to that. We should be banking on that. And there are other, here at the high school and some of the other schools, where I think if we were more intentional, we could see enough money to help subsidize more than just repairing chairs.
Thank you. Mayor?
Just to kind of piggyback, first of all, did you learn that answer when you were chief of staff for Mayor Belzotti, huh? Because you were always so kind
and
when
I
you
still
chief of
remember.
staff, too. Yes, you do. One thing I think that we're missing on this list is the planetarium. So we have an unbelievable planetarium
took it
here at
off.
Brockton High. A ton of money was put into it, and it's not being utilized. And when we were kids, a lot of us went to the planetarium during Summerfest, and it's a game changer. And with the money they put in, it's even much more enhanced. So I would humbly ask that we add that. We try to figure out how we can utilize that. I know a lot of times it's only used during the day, the school day, But I just think we're missing a golden opportunity on that. Could be. Yeah.
That would be an excellent idea for some of the schools. It's an inexpensive field trip.
Yep.
It's free, and we have our busing, and it's short. So that, I agree, Mayor. I remember as a student at Brockton High going to the plant, and I remember when we redid it, we went as school committee members, and it was excellent. So, and I would love, I know we're throwing ideas out here, and we should have like a brainstorming idea, but I would love to have like a movie night. Bring like an old movie and just bring a screen and sell tickets and have us sit in the auditorium. Adults, kids, I mean, it's just, a lot of schools do that. And it's a great way to, we have a lot of ways to raise money. And I agree with trying to utilize the space that we have. And I echo my colleagues. Mr. Thompson's been my right hand since day one. Ken, I call him, and I don't even have to ask twice. And this is why I have such a great relationship with our facilities department. And I have them jumping through hoops, and they were there getting 25 pallets on Friday morning. So again, I echo Mr. Vega. This is what we need, and we appreciate your leadership in that department.
I would like to take a minute to thank the mayor and the city council as well, because they appropriated a considerable amount of money to renovate the auditorium with light and sound to make it a much more attractive. So thank you, Mayor, for that.
Thank you, you're welcome. You're welcome.
We just need new seats. Those are, the red ones are the most uncomfortable. We have to work on updating the red seats. The black seats are comfortable. The
Just
red
think about
ones.
that when you set the rates.
So, Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that, 'cause I had that listed down. The planetarium is unbelievable. And I think, with that, Mr. Jorge, Mr. Vega, I know the library has like a portable one where I'm not sure if there's a cost there when we already have that in the city, that we could probably have a collaboration of, expanding that as well. And then the other thing, I'm assuming everything here is listed for areas that we do lease. And just to answer Mr. Sullivan's question with the pool, is the indoor pool, not the outdoor pool, because the outdoor pool is controlled on the city side. So we do rent out our indoor pool.
Yeah, it's the indoor pool, yes.
Yeah, the indoor pool. So, but yeah, if we can get a list on that. The other piece is, prior to me getting on the committee, I've leased, different sites within the city from the school department for over 20 years. And the only thing, with times changes, technology is, and Trish can, I know Troy's not here, but there should be an easier way of actually paying the city versus writing a handheld check.
Yeah,
We can pay it online on the mayor, or if we can look into that where, somebody that's, renting this, they can get it and they can pay it right online, and it's quicker than me mailing a check and going through that whole process of making sure the check clears. And online payment is gonna clear quicker than a check. There's been some incidents that some checks have bounced from different groups. I know that. So if we can look into that, that'll be helpful.
Absolutely. Just one point about the planetarium as well. It is handicap accessible, so that's a plus as well.
Any other questions or comments?
Just-
Mayor?
Just to kind of piggyback again what the chair said about having a movie night, right after COVID, we had a showing at West Middle School. It was Rocky Marciano versus Joe Louis, and it was black and white film, and it was a rainy night, but it was packed. It really was, and it was free. But that just shows that people will come for, a specific showing of something. We're going to do the same thing in the near future for Marvelous Marvin Hagler, but I think it's a really great idea. And again, if we don't maximize some of our assets, we're going to be hemorrhaging some more additional money, right? So I think we put our thinking caps on, we be creative, and then we just execute. I know, and the vice chair mentioned it, like if you apply right now to Tim Carpenter, the Parks Commissioner, to want to rent one of the playgrounds, it's a $25 fee, just an application fee is $25. This is $10. So right off the bat, we're missing $15. It's not uniform. So I don't know, Trish, if a municipality is allowed to accept Venmo, but if we don't have those abilities to get additional online paying, we're gonna miss that. I mean, credit cards would be key, and because checks have bounced, and we've got stiffed in the past.
Yes, so that was one of my goals for this year, is to get us a system with a bank to get credit card payments and such online payments for many departments across the school department, when students pay for their AP testing and things like that. So I was trying to get that manageable this school year as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vega?
And I don't want to belabor this point, but it's now that we're talking about movies. I mean, you know, as an example, like there are a number of independent filmmakers throughout the state who are looking for spaces to premiere films. I cannot think of a better space than our auditorium here at BHS. So, like, I think there are some real opportunities if we are aggressive and intentional that can bolster our budget. That's just one example. There's a myriad of others that we could be considering. Yeah.
Mr. Vega, last fall, Vice Chair Rodriguez, Mr. Sullivan, and I, they had a movie night up at the stadium, and it was great. It was the first time we had done that. Mr. Sullivan and I think we were in charge of the cotton candy or the popcorn machine. I think popcorn. It was great. It was great to see families. It really wasn't a moneymaker because we didn't. It was free, but they got donations. They got sponsors. There were companies that are out there that will sponsor to make it free, and it's giving back to our community, having fun things for our families. So the movie nights are fun.
Just to clarify, I'm not talking about movie nights. I'm talking about working with film companies that are working on lower budgets, which are all throughout Massachusetts, to hold their premieres here for a fee. So I think they're the opportunity. I agree. I want to make sure that we have community events and, you know, as much as possible, make those events that we aren't charging for. But we have the opportunity to leverage our resources.
Mayor?
Just point of information, so there was a graduate of Brockton High, Emma Reardon, who used to work for BCA. She had her world premiere of the Pan Mass Challenge movie that she did, and it was standing room only. I mean, it was probably max capacity, don't tell the fire department, but it was packed. And again, it was free for her because she was a Brockton High grad, and we were really trying to work with her and promote her. But again, proof is in the pudding, and that was a wonderful night. So I concur with you, Jorge. Anything we can do, we need to do it.
Absolutely. Ms. Sullivan?
I just wanted to, and we could refer to Superintendent Taliani, that there's certain rules about showing movies in schools that she probably knows about. Thank you.
Ms. Oliver?
Just as the fund starts coming in, we definitely need to like work on the front area of the auditorium. I know there's a lot of upgrade that needs to be done. You know, even the ceiling's kind of a little bit damaged and stuff, but I think I've come to a lot of like musical here the past few years, especially my kids love it. But just so I noticed the comments, just like when you enter, there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed. So to us to basically sell out for other people to come and use auditorium, I think we need to make the entrance very beautiful and very presentable for the Brockton school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Rodriguez?
The other thing that's missing on here is our billboard.
Yes.
That is part of our facilities that needs to be on there, so.
The billboard rental, though?
On Belmont Street, we have the billboard that belongs to the school district.
We usually, would
That's-
we want to rent that out or use it as a school?
I mean, if the school has ability to do, you know, if we're not advertising anything for us, and then we have a window where we can advertise and generate funds outside of BPS, then that should be on there as well.
Did we advertise doing like games for them to use the big screen for football games?
No, that's through the athletics. They are working on that. So, Mr. Gomes, we work on athletics subcommittee, bring the AD in here to present where they are with that with sponsors. So they are working on that. So selling advertisements on the scoreboard that we bought, which is a big screen TV, as you can say.
Okay. Mayor?
So I concur with the vice chair. Under Massachusetts law and the rules and regs of the outdoor advertising, there's static boards and digital boards, right? Route 24, you see the digital boards, and when they were approved, the city is allowed to advertise on that free of charge. Same thing with the static board up here on the grounds of Brockton High. It's dedicated exclusive use for Brockton Public Schools. So you see the drama, you see Abigail and John and Abigail Adams, scholarship recipients. You see the graduating class. But recently, the Knockouts called me, the general manager of New England Knockouts, and asked me if he could put up an ad there. And I said you'd have to reach out to the superintendent. At that time, it was Dr. Cobb. So if you drive by right now, you see Brockton, right, the insignia for Brockton boxers, and then you see the Rocks and you see the New England Knockouts. I don't know if they're paying, but they should. So I think that there is probably an opportunity for us to look at when it's the static board's not being used for school purposes, could be generate some revenue because it's in such an ideal location on 123.
Mayor, I agree with you and Vice Chair. I looked into advertising for my personal business, and it's expensive for the digital board for a short period of time.
Yep.
It was thousands of dollars, and that was just, we're talking about not even a month. It was like not even a whole week. So to get the print, again, there's so many different ideas that we can brainstorm to help generate revenue. And this is what we need to do moving forward, all work together to come up with great ideas. But no, thank you. So any other questions when it comes to the facility rental agreement? So all I ask is if we can just review this. Any changes, I would, let's get this done so we can get back to Mr. Pina and Mr. Thompson. Let's get this, because we do need to vote on it so we can start, because they're already getting applications, so we're going to have to start the school year with the new application moving forward. Mr. Rodriguez?
My own thing is, if we can have another meeting with the superintendent, myself, and the city solicitor, with some of the changes in our legal counsel as well, before we set a date and get that, and then we can get it to the members so they can review it, and then we can schedule a meeting before we actually take a vote. So give every member time to digest and make their recommendations of what we should have that contract looking like.
Okay, I mean, we have a whole month, that'll give us a little bit of a push not to drag this on. So we can probably figure something out. We have a whole month to get together with our attorneys. The attorneys are gonna give us a legal recommendation on the wording. We're to look at the other stuff, if you are all in agreement as far as what the fees are. Again, Mr. Pina did, look and see. We gotta stay competitive. We're not too high up there. We're very competitive for the services that we provide. But I think we're good with that, Mr. Thompson, but don't go away, Ken. So if we're all set with item number A, facilities rental agreement, we're gonna go on to the building moves. So we have a lot of building moves, and Ken's gonna give us an update. Deputy Walder might give us an update, maybe not, if he needs her. Okay, so
Don't go far.
Mr. Thompson, because Dr. Cobbs is away, so Mr. Thompson's stepping in to give us an update on the building moves. So if you can just go building by building, let us know where we are, percentage-wise, are we almost ready?
Exactly.
Again, there was a lot of building moves in a short period of time, Ken, so, it's not that easy. And they're dealing with other things in between the building moves, so,
So in no particular order, the community schools from Westgate to Goddard, that's 100% complete. The Adult Learning Center to the Goddard is about 98% complete. The Promise to the Huntington is about 75% complete. And again, 75%, there's still some boxes, a little bit of furniture to move, but by and large, it's pretty well over there. The BVLA to the Huntington, that's about 35%. And the reason being is we were doing a little more work in the basement area, which they were going to, and that may change, but at the moment, that's what we were working on. We were doing some floor work somewhat. So that'll be done by the end of this week. We'll move the BVLA over there next week sometime. The Brockton Therapeutic Day School to Summer Street, that's 100% complete. The Champion School to the Payne is 99% complete. The facilitators to the Central is 100% complete. The psychologist to North is 100% complete. IT to Huntington hasn't started yet. That'll start the middle of next week, but we're prepping for that. There's some work. Again, they're moving into the basement of the Huntington, and that's basically where we're finishing up the work. So they're going there. And the Huntington renovation project and the Goddard renovation project are both about 95% complete. And those are all the moves. And we're confident and comfortable that we'll be ready for the start of school.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So, quick question. As far as IT setting up, they've already gone into the buildings, telephone lines, everything's already been set up.
They're working on that now.
Okay.
We actually met out
The
there.
ones that are 100%, are they like,
When I say 100%, that's moves on our part.
Moves,
The
okay.
IT, the telephones, I have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So that would be Joe Campbell on the telephones, IT on the computers. I'm talking about moving all of their furniture, all of their boxes, all of their belongings, getting them to the space.
okay. Maybe at our next meeting, if we can just get an update for our August 13th. Just a quick update as to 100%. This is when they're ready to move in. There's no delays because teachers start coming in, especially if they're starting in a new building. They want to come in, make sure everything's ready to go, their phones, their computers, everything. So as far as the building moves, thank you for the update on that. We'll just need an update from IT and Mr. Campbell. Well, myself or maybe the vice chair will reach out to them just to get some kind of an update for our next school committee meeting, not a facilities meeting, but at least give us an update as to where we are on that.
And the other project, while we're not directly involved in doing the project, it's the Downey upgrades, electrically and HVAC-wise. Amoresco was general contractor, but I'm working closely with them. That project is scheduled to be close to be complete by the end of the summer, and that's on schedule as of now as well.
Thank you. Do any of the members have any questions? Mayor?
Thank you very much, Ken. Just quick question. When we talked about the Goddard with Dr. Cobbs, during the budget prep, it was discussed about doing an external elevator that would be attached to the building, and it wasn't going to happen tomorrow. And it was like $300,000. It was a lot of money. From your experience, like how does that happen? Like how quick does it take to build an external elevator on a building?
Well, it's going to be predicated on the equipment, number one.
Okay.
You know, getting the equipment, that supply chain issue is still an issue in some disciplines, so we would have to look at that first. The rest would be masonry, which, you know, was weather dependent, depending on when we started and depending on, you know, when we got the go-ahead to go.
Okay. Okay.
But it varies a bit.
There's some factors that we
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
we wouldn't be able to judge. for
Right.
you. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Just to piggyback off of that, wasn't some of our state delegation working on funds, if I'm not mistaken, to get funds for that? Do we have an update?
Dr. Cobbs gave a whole list of suggestions. Deputy was in that. We were in the principal's office at that time. I don't know yet. I had a call today with the delegation, but it was more about the homeless situation and then the bill that was signed today by the governor for housing. I'll find out tomorrow and send an email to everybody. I don't know, but they put in a lot of earmarks at the request of the schools.
Thank you.
Mr. Vega?
Mr. Thompson, so I had the opportunity to visit Goddard on Friday, and let me start by saying there are three gentlemen, and I'm forgetting, I don't have their names at the top of my mind, but those three gentlemen have been there night and day for the entire summer, and every staff member from community schools that I walked by was singing their praises. I also had the opportunity to walk around with Dr. Boss Montero. Your name kept coming up again and again as a resource that was there to help throughout this summer. The move is 100%. But as of Friday, there were some considerable things, you know, and Ken's told me that, Mr. Thompson told me that over the weekend, a lot of things were able to be addressed. But I just want to be clear about something. There's a difference in being ready to move stuff in and for people to be, this program, community schools, we've all been raving about it, posting about it online. They had an incredibly successful run this summer, and they get bigger and better every year. And when their program closes, they have a series of closeout things that need to be done. And when phones aren't prepared, when electrical outlets aren't present, when there are still ceiling panels handling and you're expected to get to work, that's a problem. I just want to be clear that, like, I know everyone's working, but a couple months ago, I asked the question, will this be ready for community schools on day one? I was told unequivocally that it would be. That is not the case. And to be clear, Mr. Thompson and his team are working around the clock, but I do not think all the resources that could have been allocated were allocated. I don't think we had a reasonable timeline. We just took a program that was a rock star, it is a rock star, and put it in the, and Mr. Thompson, I don't want to put you on spot with this one. How's the roof at Goddard now?
It's got a couple of leaks that we've identified, and they are going to, about 2 weeks ago, we had them out there, and we have them out there again this week. So it's a slate roof, and it's awful hard to find the leaks sometimes. It'll leak in one spot and travel, and you'll think it's someplace else, so we're chasing.
So why did we move a school into a building that has a leaking roof? All right? There are going to be children in that building, not just the adult learning community, but there's a preschool that runs as part of that program. And they are going to be in a building that doesn't have a functional roof. So I just want to say one more time, like, I've learned a valuable lesson as a relatively new committee member. I will push for the things that I think are right, but we need to hold people accountable. And not everyone who should be held accountable is in this room right now.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Ms. Oliver?
I am going to piggyback from you, because I also got a call. I also spoke to the director of community schools, and the frustration that's been over there, how the program ended on the 31st, and they was expected to move the next 2 days, and you guys been great, Mr. Thompson, and your crew has been unbelievable. It's other individuals that had said this is going to be done on certain days, and it wasn't done. There's bathrooms in Garden in the first floor from day one was not working. As of last Friday, when I spoke to individuals, it hasn't been fixed. It's never been looked at. It's been closed, still with a sign. Nobody has gone in there to basically know there's a new program going in there. Why hasn't that bathroom been handled for the past month? And we spoke about the roof leaking. Since day one, when I took a walk down there, it's not the roof, it's not the roof, it can easily be fixed. It is the roof. The roof is a major issue, and it's leaking, and we need to figure out, you can't just go and take the panels off and put a brand-new panel in to look beautiful, but we need to basically go deep into it and see what the issues is, why we're getting leaks. And I know the frustration, it's aggravating the fact that people need to start taking accountability when they say it's going to be done on day one, and they're nowhere to be found. And now you're basically taking all the work on all these buildings and other buildings that needs to be open first day of school for our kids. And where's the person that was supposed to be doing this? And supposed to be there by your side to make sure we're walking through every school, every building to make sure things are done correctly, how we were promised. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and you guys are doing a great job in a very limited time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Actually, Mr. Thompson, I echo my colleagues. Is there anything as a committee that we can do to help facilities figure this out? Again, we have our staff relying on us. We promised them they would have a building. What can we do? Is there something we can do? Do you need other resources that we as a committee can look into to try? I know the slate roof is tough.
Right. I mean,
The slate roofs are beautiful, they last forever,
Right.
but it's tough. Is there something we can do just to give them that reassurance that we're working with them? We're not just throwing them into a building and having them deal with it, because we will stay after. It's not your responsibility, but we're going to stay after and make sure this is done. Is there something as a committee that we could help? Is it something the facilities, or is it the deputy of operations? Like,
No,
what do
I
we
mean,
what do we
as
need
far-
to
as
do?
far as the roof, I mean, we've been chasing roof leaks over there. And again, it is a difficult proposition, given that it's a slate roof. And using the Huntington as an example, that was a slate roof, and when we got funding for that, you notice we didn't put a slate roof back, we put a copper roof back. But again, it's a lot of money. We're doing City Hall. You know the kind of costs that are involved, and it's a funding issue. So what we've been doing is, chasing the leaks. I guess I want to defend it a little bit by saying maybe, there's three, and, one leak is too many, and I understand that. But how many leaks are there that we've identified? 3, maybe 4, and we've cured 2 of them that I'm aware of, and we've got the roofer coming back. But again, it's chasing the roof leaks. And we use an outside roofer, Brockton Roofing Company, and they come in and they're very responsive. They're coming again. So, yeah, it's been a difficult time just because of the nature of the roof and how it leaks. We don't want the roof to leak because we respond to it. It's our issue. It's not who's done it, it's facilities. And I'm the director of facilities and I take responsibility. The other work and the stuff you're referring to, Mr. Vega, the electrical for Soraya's group, that came after the fact a little bit when they moved in. So we're going to address that, but again, it was something we weren't aware of, the amount they needed and where they were. I think once they set up, that's how they knew that. The telephones, again, not my responsibility from what I understand. It might have been a coordination issue in terms of who knew when they were actually moving. So again, not making excuses, but trying to defend it a little bit, as if no one was totally ignoring it. Again, we're working on it and we'll continue to work on it. I work closely with Soraya, I work closely with Mustafa, and, we're going to make it a good building for them.
Mr. Vega, then Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, just to be clear, I don't doubt any of that, Mr. Thompson. Like everything, and I apologize if I put you on a different,
No,
like
not at
me-
all, not
like,
at all,
but,
not at all.
But for me, the issue began with the decision, not with the execution.
Understood.
You know what I mean? Like the execution is people are moving as fast as they can, hustling to make this work. It's about the decision. A decision was made to put a program in a building that was not prepared for a program, and then we forced a team to figure out how to make it work as best as possible. So I just want to be clear, Mr. Thompson and his team, they are rock stars, and they were asked to do something that didn't make sense.
I agree with you, Mr. Vega. Many of us weren't happy about that move. I think we were left with no choice, given the buildings that we have. But I agree with you. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. My conversation, I actually went there when the contractor was up there fixing the roof, and I thought that it was minor, but actually meeting Mr. Vega there and actually walking the building, again, there is leaks, but my question is, are we just doing patch jobs, or do we actually need a total roof replacement? And we should start having that conversation now if we do, to make sure that's addressed, because we do have 2 programs that are moving in there. There's still, some work to be done in there. We can't, we agree on that, but as far as the, when I walked in, some ceiling tiles are missing. I understand that the crew is still in there working, but, my understanding that, a lot of those ceiling tiles are still there from the original, making it, replacing those, and some insulation that are, just hanging. But is it something that you're confident that we can patch up, or is this something that we need to take a deeper dive into, totally replace that roof to make sure that we're not running into any more issues?
I think the simplest answer, Mr. Rodriguez, is the roof's 100 years old.
Thank you. My recommendation is to, have the facilities department look into what the cost will be and the process. I believe we have to go through the MSBA for a total roof replacement, to make sure that's addressed. At the end of the day, it is a school and there's programs inside of there. I know you're short-staffed and you're doing the best possible, but we need to take a look at a lot of our schools. Painting goes a long way. Bringing some more colors and making it lively. Then, when I walk into the paint school, I hope those doors in the basement get replaced very soon. And I know some students, I'm not sure if they can even have access, and we don't want them to have access there, because we do still have some of those doors that remind me of when I walk into work. Those need to be replaced. It's not
I mean, the challenge we face obviously is working in occupied buildings, so that's why the majority of our craftsmen work at night, but you can only do so much each evening, and then when the summer comes, again, that's our project time, like we're doing this summer and every summer. So, we have to prioritize, and I welcome everybody's input as to what you want to prioritize, and if it's painting, like I said, every one of my guys paint. So, we can prioritize that, so we can talk as a group and come up with a game plan, but that's our disadvantage of occupied building versus unoccupied, and, we work in the night, but what we do in the evening has to be done or secured for the next day, so it really puts a strain on how we schedule work.
So, I mean, just to piggyback, I mean, the lieutenant and our new safety director, and we have Ed Davis, doing an assessment for our security in the district. I know we have a facilities plan. Can we get something that identify the district as a whole, what our schools need? I'll walking into Gilmore, taking a tour with with the principal, and I'm kicking tiles, and some of them being held by duct tape. But so we could identify what needs to be done, working with the building administrators, because it's their building at the end of the day. What their needs are, painting. I know we're strapped for cash, but at least we have it identified what's needed that we can tackle down the road, moving forward. So if we have that plan into place, keep checking the box. Yep, we got this done. We're working on this, and what's priority. And I know, priority. I mean, patching a roof that's 100 years old, you're going to patch here and it's going to go here. I understand that, but I think we need to look at that deeper and making sure we move the process quicker, because it took, I believe, 6 years just to get the Huntington roof, approved and completed, and that, we don't want to wait another 6 years just to get a smaller roof as the guarded. So if we can.
And one thing, and we all recognize, is the age of our buildings.
Yep.
I mean, we've got 5 buildings we call our new schools that are all probably more than 20 to 25 years old, and those are our new schools. So, it's the age of the schools as well, so the wear and tear over the, it's a difficult.
Yeah. But I thank you and your team. You've been tremendous help. Your response is very, very quick. And you're working with the best with what you have. So, like Mrs. Azak said, your request to us goes a long way. Whatever support that you need from this committee to make sure that you get the job done, you let us know.
Absolutely.
And
And I
working
just-
with,
if I-
obviously,
wha-
going
wha-
through the superintendent, because you have to go through the superintendent.
absolutely.
Let's not forget that. You have
we
to go through the
look forward to
superintendent.
it. But if I could just take a minute to recognize the facilities department, our craftsmen, the work they've done, our travelers, the moves they've made, our custodians, and, you walk around these buildings, people complain, and I get it, but they have never been cleaner over the last few years. We've hired a lot of people, and the buildings look great. Our outside grounds guys, you drive around, you look at our schools, they're manicured, the work they do. Our mechanics, we've got vehicles which we've talked about over the years. I've got vehicles with 250,000 miles on them, but he keeps them running. So, I've got a staff that I couldn't be prouder of. I was 40 years in the construction industry, and there's not a group of guys I take over these guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Before I go to Ms. Oliver and Mr. Vega, Mayor, we have
We're
our.
2 minutes before we have to start our
Yes,
special.
so should we finish or postpone or start a few minutes late? We're almost done with this meeting. The other one starts at 7:30.
Yep.
Our special school committee, should we just keep going?
I would forge ahead as quick as you can.
Okay, let's go. So Ms. Oliver and then Mr. Vega.
I just have a quick, just input, just to piggyback from Mr. Rodriguez. I think definitely when everything kind of slows down a little bit, to basically have a walkthrough with the superintendent, especially at middle schools. Their needs of being fixed. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked at and just improved. I've walked around South, and I know even West, and we definitely need a lot of repairs in there. If you ask our students how they feel in those schools, they will tell you their honest opinion about their schools, and I just want to change that mentality and that idea of how they think of their middle school for us to try to start improving how it looks for them, just to make it a more beautiful school for them to walk in daily, every day. Another thing is, I don't know if this is possible, if it's too late, but have we done any air quality testing in the garden school, especially with the leak, how old the roof has been and how long the leak has been going on.
We can do it. We haven't in a while because it hasn't been occupied, but we can certainly do that.
Yeah, especially the garden school and also the Payne, knowing how old those two buildings are, and we are bringing kids in there. I definitely think we should be doing air quality testing.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. And before Mr. Vega, Mr. Thompson, we do have a lot of air purifying machines.
We do.
So we could probably, until we get that tested and returned, we can probably give them extras at those two schools specifically till we do the testing.
Right. Every,
Especially the Goddard, where it hasn't been occupied fully. It's been occupied, but not completely occupied like it will be.
No.
So we do have those.
no, we have 'em. Every classroom in the district has one, every office in the district has one, and we plan on bringing more over to the newer schools that we're opening.
Just so we can give it to them till we can figure out. Mr. Vega?
Keep this brief, it's just two questions. In your shout-outs, Mr. Thompson, you mentioned a group that I forgot to mention, the Craftsman's group that work for facilities. The work's been incredible, and no doubt has saved the district tons of money. Do you have any sense of how much savings were held in using our in-house craftsmen for work?
I mean, over time, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And do you think, in your opinion, is it worth looking at continuing to invest in building out that group, given the projects that we're probably going to see over the next 5 to 10 years?
I would welcome additional support just because of what we do and what we're able to do. And the more staffing we have, the more work we can do in-house.
Any other members with any questions or comments? Okay, so the last item that we have is the RFP for Belmont Street, but that does not apply to this meeting. If we can move that to unfinished business and we can get an update at the special school committee meeting, or maybe get it the following.
Yeah, we don't have unfinished business on the special agenda tonight.
Okay, so then maybe by Tuesday, the 13th.
Yes.
Because that does involve one of our schools.
Yes.
So we just need to see where we stand with that. So we do have our special school committee meeting starting a few minutes late. If no one has any other comments or questions or anything under other business. Okay, we will schedule a meeting by the end of August before school starts, just so we can get Mr. Pina the paperwork. And I do want to recognize Attorney Bridges and Attorney Bresnahan. We went over the memo that you had forwarded to the mayor, the vice chair, and the superintendent, Attorney Bridges. So maybe it was mentioned that you guys will all work on that, and then we can bring that to the final meeting. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
A motion's been made by Ms. Sullivan, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. A show of hands. Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Don't go anywhere, we're going back in.